Welcome to another exciting episode of South Suburban Spotlight, right here in the BCTV studios. My name's Sam Ekstrom. Our fall edition focuses heavily on football with the new head football coach, Vince Varpness, along with Marcus Shelpley, a two-way star for the Burnsville Blaze. We also welcome in the new girls basketball coach, Maurice Hodges, who joins us a bit later. But first, Mr. Vince Varpness of the Burnsville Football team. Good afternoon, Coach.
Afternoon. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. Season's changing, getting a little cooler. Got some snow in the forecast, breaking out the sweats maybe and the hoodies. Do you like this time of year as a football coach?
I do. It's Minnesota, so that's kind of what we grow up with. So it's keeps it exciting and keeps the the kids on their toes a little bit as well.
You mentioned growing up, and I want to kind of go back in your life and in your coaching career. I know you've got a great football lineage. I believe your father was a coach.
Absolutely, yeah. He was a head coach for 37 years and at the high school and the college level, and president of the Minnesota State High School League in the early 70s, and has done a lot of things here in Minnesota in football.
So when you consider your path to becoming a coach, and you've been doing it for so many years, do you kind of find the source of that inspiration to be your father?
Yeah, he was a huge inspiration in my life, and I grew up a coach's kid, so I grew up on the sidelines, at every practice, at the games, being a little ball boy and, doing all that. So been around the game and a lot of bus trips and a lot of good times and memories.
Do you feel like in all your various stops, and you've been at multiple high schools, multiple colleges that you've coached at, do you feel like you've taken something away from each one that has enhanced you as a head football coach?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think, like I say, growing up a coach's kid, you are analyzing people everywhere you go. We went to a lot of coaches' clinics with my dad, so I learned from a lot of coaches there growing up. Every year we'd go to the Glazier and the Nike clinics and the Gopher clinics. So I got an opportunity since I was probably in 6th, 7th grade to do that every year. And, and then coaching at the University of Minnesota under Mason, playing football for Tash up at Bemidji, working for Coach Might and OJ and Stern down at St. Olaf, and been around and had an opportunity to learn from a lot of good people. So it's been a great journey.
You've been a coordinator, you've been a head coach. What do you think is the biggest difference between those two roles?
Well, coordinators, the football part, the fun part, where you're, it's constant X's and O's and preparing your players, and the head coach is more admin, dealing with, on and off the field, academics, social aspects of our players' lives, development of them in the off season, that sort of thing. So the head football coach side of it is more administrative type work. Mm-hmm. But I enjoy both. I love the planning of both positions.
Well, I'm sure you've heard about PJ Fleck with sort of his mantra that he wants his players to grow academically, athletically, socially, and spiritually. Do you have a similar MO where you're trying to get the most out of these kids as people in addition to football players?
Yeah, we want them to be great men, when they grow up and go out into the world and be productive in our communities. One of the things that we're really working hard on, because we've had some players in the past that, have maybe not been able to go to colleges that they should go to due to academics or different issues. So I've got a great booster club here, and they're really working hard to help set up. We've got a study hall, kind of like a tutoring program that we're putting in actually next Monday. So our athletes will be able to come in and get help from subject area. We'll have somebody from each of the core subject areas there to help for 2 hours every Monday night. And we're going to feed them. It's going to be a great experience for them. And really, starting at the 9th grade level, allowing our kids not to get behind academically. I'm really excited about the program and the help that we've got with that.
When this job came open in March, did you know immediately that you wanted to be in the running for it?
Absolutely, yeah. I came back to Burnsville because I love Burnsville, and I was here in 2010 for a fall, real quick stint before I became a head coach at St. Louis Park, and I fell in love with the community, fell in love with the program, the people here, the passion that the alumni base has, and the pride that they have in the program and where they want to see the program go and the expectations that they have. And you combine that with the facilities that we have and our leadership pathway, or our Pathways program within the educational side of things. We've got the facilities, we've got the education, we've got the educators, we've got everything that we need, to be successful here. So I'm excited about being here, really excited.
I've always wondered, does David Dixon have the best stories when you're just meeting as a staff? Does he regale you with old Vikings tales?
Yeah, Dixon, you know, he knows a lot of the old Vikings, and some of the old guys when I was at the U are old Vikings, so we run into those guys every once in a while. We were at the Vikings game this last weekend, and in the suite with some of the old Vikings guys, so it's kind of fun to catch up and hear some of those stories.
Coach Varpness is going to hang tight for 1 second. We'll be right back on South Suburban Spotlight. Stick around. Welcome back to the show in the BCTV studios. One more segment with Burnsville football coach Vince Varpness. And Coach, I'm going to shoot off some players' names at you. I want you to give your kind of quick twitch reactions about their skill set. Marcus Shelpley.
Incredible athlete, talented, bright young man, very football savvy, has very natural football instincts, and he can throw, he can catch, he can tackle. Covers a lot of ground. He's a very good football player.
Kyle Atkinson.
Extremely talented young man, big. He's we call him Night Train, and he's like a train in there. He goes in and he's very physical on the defensive line. We've got him playing offensive line here late in the season now too. So he's kind of playing both ways for us from time to time, and you know, he's that football guy you think of when you think of a big physical guy that's going to move people.
How about the guy we call Double T in the broadcast booth, Trey Thomas?
Trey Thomas, great athlete as well, running back, linebacker, has a lot of potential. You know, got an offer from the University of Northern Iowa, and hopefully several more to come. He's very talented with a big upside in both offense and defense, in my opinion. And
the other Double T, Tommy Tester.
Tommy Tester is a tall, lanky, athletic young man. He's a natural, you know, athlete as well. He can run. He's one of the stronger guys on the team. He won the Ironman competition for his weight class, and just a quality kid that's always working hard and trying to improve. And again, can throw a solid ball and a great deep ball, and has great hands and is, you know, even better at receiver.
And how about a guy who didn't actually step on the field this year, Lucas Moreno?
Moreno is a huge leader for us. He's our leader in the program. I mean, even though he's injured, I've never seen an injured player, you know, lead the team like he has. I mean, it's like he's still playing as far as how the guys look up to him, how he leads them, how he pushes them. He's at practice every day, helping motivate the players. You know, he was a big loss for us, but it's great to have him around still in the capacity that he's playing for us.
Looking back on your first regular season, and the season's not done yet, the playoffs still on the horizon as we speak here today. But what are you most proud of looking back on your first 6 months or so as the head coach of this program?
You know, I'm proud of the development that I've seen in these guys from a maturation standpoint. We've really matured as far as our, you know, ability to focus and concentrate. Still a long way to go, but this was a very young group as far as football experience when we started the year, and just young from a maturity standpoint as well. Great kids. You know, with the season going as it did this year, you know, obviously it wasn't what we wanted it to be, but it was still a joy. Every day it's still a joy going out there on the field with them and working with them, because they're so young and energetic, and they're passionate. And I'm excited to have most of them back next year.
That's Vince Varpness of the Burnsville football team. We'll stick with football and talk to Marcus Shelpley coming up next. We'll get his impressions of the season that was and talk about his 3 older brothers that also came through the football program. Stick around for that on South Suburban Spotlight. Welcome back to South Suburban Spotlight. As promised, we have Marcus Shelpley in the hot seat right now. Burnsville wide receiver, quarterback, cornerback, safety. What do you consider yourself when people ask you what you play? You play so many positions, it seems like.
I usually say I'm like an athlete, but I think my true position is wide receiver.
You moved there this year after you started as quarterback, and you had a 99-yard touchdown against Prior Lake. How comfortable did you feel in that role?
I played somewhat wide receiver last year, and like playing the quarterback, I know most like the roles for wide receivers and where they're supposed to be at all times. So it was pretty comfortable for me.
What gives you the biggest thrill? Catching a touchdown pass, throwing a touchdown pass, or pick-sixing it on the defensive side?
Pick-sixes are definitely a lot of fun, but I say just like whatever's a big play that can like change the whole momentum of the game and help my team.
Well, you've had a lot of those over the past couple of years, and you'll probably have many more to come. But let's go back and talk about your upbringing with all the brothers. I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but the Shepley lineage with Brett and Tucker and Jake and you. Are there any more? Is it just the four of you?
We're not hiding anymore. I'm the last one, unless we decide to bring in a foreign exchange student or something.
All right. No sisters?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Four boys. How did your mom like that?
I think once we got to Jake, she decided she just wanted me to be a boy too, so it wasn't like 3 and 1. I think she's glad they're all boys, and it works out pretty good.
I mean, when you were all teenagers, I bet there was a lot of roughhousing, kind of rough and tumble, playing sports around the house.
Yeah, I mean, we were all homeschooled. They were homeschooled up. My 3 other brothers were homeschooled up until 7th grade, and I was homeschooled until 5th grade. So like we were kind of weird, but like we were also like involved in athletics. So yeah, we kind of just like mess around a lot of times at our house after finishing our work and whatnot. Was it always football? Was that because you all played football, and I know you play other sports as well, but was that sort of the central sport that you all focused on? Me and Tucker have always been kind of more basketball, but Brett and Jake's are definitely football, so we kind of just switch off.
As the young one, what was that like? You got these athletic older brothers, and I'm sure for a while there you were trying to get up to their level. Do you feel like they sort of raised your game because they were older and stronger? Yeah,
I mean, growing up I always was kind of playing against the older kids because I was playing against them, so it was better competition for me. And then, like, people always like, oh, you're the last one, like, you're going to be the best. And it's like, it makes me really nervous, but like, it's nice to see like this year, like, I'm kind of just coming through and like stepping into that role.
Do you have a unique relationship with each of your brothers?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
It's different for each one.
What's it like with Brett, for instance?
Growing up, Brett always kind of like looked after me and whatnot. Always looked up to him as like a role model and whatnot.
How about Tucker?
Me and Tucker always have a lot of fun together, just messing around and for basketball. And then Jake's definitely like, we were like together in school, so hanging out a lot last year during school, and then like in football too.
So if you had a life, situation that you wanted to talk to a brother about, who would you go to?
Life, probably Brett, because he's been through the most. He's been through it all, so he kind of knows what he's doing.
Marcus Shelpley of the Burnsville Football team. He basically plays every position. He's a Swiss Army knife, and he'll be back with us after this for one more segment on South Suburban Spotlight.
Burnsville High School is a campus rooted in tradition, as they recognize the great names that came before them. The Blaze softball team has Pat Feely Field, and the Burnsville football team steps onto Dick Hansen Field in Bob Pate Stadium every fall. And this year they offer another tribute to the father of Burnsville soccer, Ted Seidel.
To me, the best way to describe him is the true pioneer of soccer in Burnsville.
2 former soccer practice fields will be renamed the Ted Seidel Practice Fields in honor of the legendary men's soccer coach, who in his 28-year tutelage won 4 state championships.
Ted's daughter had actually approached me and started talking about, hey, is there something more that we can do, to honor and remember my father? I had the idea of naming the soccer fields, in his honor and his memory.
Born in Breslau, Germany, Seidel moved to America in 1955. 10 years later, he took a position as a German teacher at Burnsville High School. And with his passion for soccer, he started the men's team at BHS just 5 years later in 1970. However, behind the Powerhouse program were humble beginnings.
I think it sounds like some kids came to him and wanted to start this program up, and he had a background in soccer and had some knowledge of it, and there wasn't, any place to really play at all. So he was out there, working day and night, and had a crew out there working day and night just to be able to have a field, on the campus to be able to play soccer.
And that's who Ted was. hardworking, determined, and driven. No one knows this better than current Blaze coach Bill Taranza, who played against Seidel in high school as an Apple Valley Eagle.
I know the legacy just from former players that I knew back in the day when I played for Burnsville. A lot of my summer buddies and stuff like that I played soccer with, played for him, and they always said, you know, he was a very disciplined type coach, made them polish up their shoes and all sorts of good stuff, I guess, or wish they'd continue that tradition. It's making sure they always looked professional and organized as a team.
Season by season, Seidel formed one of the premier programs in the state for that era. He led the Blaze to 8 conference titles and 6 section championships. Seidel won numerous awards in his tenure, from Midwest Soccer Coach of the Year in 1981 to his induction into the Burnsville High School Hall of Fame in 2006. Ted Seidel impacted many both on and off the field until he retired from teaching in 1996 and said goodbye to his beloved soccer program just 2 years later.
The success is, without a doubt, you know, the state championships, the section championships, the conference championships. Those are the things you see on the wall. I think the greater impact, though, that people don't always realize or see is the impact he had as a role model on so many of those players.
Ted Seidel died in 2015 at the age of 84, but his legacy lives on. And like so many other Burnsville greats, his name will forever be cemented into school history.
Back with you on South Suburban Spotlight, BCTV Studios. Marcus Shelpley, our guest. And Marcus, I want to have a little fun here. The game's called Shepley Superlatives. Let's get the music going. I'm going to give you a description, and you're going to say which brother it best describes. Think you can do that for us? Mm-hmm. All right. Who's the smoothest talker of the 4 of you?
I don't want to say it, but Tucker.
Yeah, he's the salesman of the group. Yeah. He can get out of trouble around the house. Who was the most diligent student?
Brett. Brett was always on top of his stuff.
And is he at Augustana now? Doing well in college?
Yeah.
Awesome. Who's the messiest?
Me. Probably.
You share rooms growing up?
Kinda, like different ones at different points, but I think all around no one really liked rooming with me.
Who's got the most questionable style?
Me and Tucker kind of dress the same. Both kind of just dress weird and like whatever we want. And usually looks decent, I guess, most of the times.
You look very trendy right now. I have nothing to, I mean, you're nicely themed, good shades of blue.
Thank you.
Who would you want to take into a back alley with you?
Probably Brett, he's the strongest. Even though Tucker likes thinking he's the strongest, probably Brett.
Who can eat the most at big Thanksgiving family dinner?
Oh, jeez. Other than my dad, all of us, yeah, we all kind of just eat everything. When we have like family events, everyone just like waits for everyone else to go through and then we go through.
Was Dad an athlete?
Yeah, he played football and basketball.
Okay. Who's got the best singing voice?
Me, maybe? I don't know. We grew up playing rock band and I was always a singer, so I guess me.
You're off the hot seat. Shepley Superlatives. You passed with flying colors. You know, you've got one more year, as you mentioned, and this year you had a coaching change going from Tyler Krebs to Vince Varpness. What was that like for you and your teammates?
It was different for each person because everybody had a different connection with Krebs. Like, everyone had a different relationship and personally. And I think for me it wasn't as bad for some people because I played offense last year and, like, I was involved with Varp being, like, as he's the offensive coordinator. So it was hard for some people more than others, but it's just something you got to get used to.
Real serious thing that happened this year was, you know, you changed numbers to honor a teammate who passed away or a classmate. What inspired you to do that?
Well, after they said that we couldn't like retire the number, I talked to his mom and she said like she would be honored if I wore it, and I just thought like it'll just help me play better and like let us know he's always there with me and like that he would want me to wear it and nobody else.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really powerful, man. It was really fun to watch you, and you had a huge game wearing that number 6 against Prior Lake that I'm always going to remember. So hats off to you, hats off to your team, and I'm excited to watch you in basketball season coming up. Have you started thinking about it yet?
I mean, it's hard not to, but I'm trying to stay focused on football with the playoff game coming up.
Well, we're going to be calling your games in basketball, so we can't wait for that. Marcus Shelpley of the Burnsville Football team, multi-sport athlete, here for the Blaze. Coming up next, Maurice Hodges of the girls basketball team. He's going to be with us in studio. Stay tuned. Final guest of the program is Maurice Hodges. He is the brand new coach of the Burnsville girls basketball team, and he is with us in the BCTV studios right now. Maurice, how you doing today?
I'm very good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good as well. It is great to have you on. We had another new coach, Vince Varpness, on from the football team, and now you're here, so it's great to introduce the people to the new head coaches. We want to learn about you in this one, learn where you're from, what you're about. So take us back. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a small town called Aberdeen, Mississippi, in Mississippi.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say South Dakota, because there's an Aberdeen, South Dakota, and that's close to where I'm from. But no, you're from a little further away.
Right.
So what brought you to Minnesota?
Bringing me to Minnesota was with my older siblings moved here. My brother moved here going to college. Once my brother was here, I decided I wanted to come here to visit him. Once I visited him, the Twins won the World Series in '87 in October, and I decided to stay here.
So you could say that the Twins are the reason that you're still here today.
The Twins are the reason that I'm here today.
Well, that's fantastic. And you've been coaching in the area plenty. What inspired you to get into coaching? I
love the sport. I love the game, and I love being around it. And also seeing some of the youth grow up and see how they fulfill their dreams, and et cetera.
Did you play at some point?
I did. I played in high school, and I played 2 years at junior college.
Were you shooting guard, power forward?
Point guard and
Okay.
also shooting guard.
And who's the point guard this year? Who are you going to move your expertise to on the girls team?
Janae Thompson. We're going to
Okay.
have a really good point guard. She's a sophomore this year. She has a year of varsity under her belt from last season. She's got some AAU experience, and I'm looking forward to coaching her this season.
Is there a difference in your coaching career between coaching girls and coaching boys?
You know, I haven't made it that far yet. Basically, from our summer workouts, it is a little bit different. You know, but the girls, they work hard, and they actually work a little bit harder than the boys. And I'm not putting the boys down, but they, you know, they dig in and work hard.
So when you sat down to interview for this job, what kind of philosophy did you express that you're going to bring to this program?
We were going to bring the program where it used to be when Coach Bo was here. I watched in the background as they made a section run and went to the state tournament. That hasn't happened for a long time. So basically building the program from the youth program up, and that's what we're looking to do.
We're going to do one more segment with you after a quick break on South Suburban Spotlight with Maurice Hodges here on BCTV. One more segment left on the show. My name's Sam Ekstrom. This is South Suburban Spotlight. We're here with Maurice Hodges, the new coach of the Burnsville girls basketball team. You came at a good time. Brand new facility that they just built with some new practice courts. How does that stack up with other facilities you've seen?
It doesn't. It stacks up really well. You know, we've been able to get a lot of summer workouts in there, you know, and then even now during the fall with captain's practices, fall practices with the fall coaches. It's a great facility, and we're looking forward to hosting tournaments and doing some other things as well.
How much film have you watched of last year's team to see what you're inheriting?
A lot. Every game. I've seen every game at least twice.
And what are you watching for when you look at those games? Are you watching particular players or a style of play? What stands out to you?
Style of play from our returning players. and also the tendencies of the players that we are going to play in the South Suburban Conference. This is a tough conference, and we want to be ready to play every single night.
Well, let's talk about your style. How about from an offensive standpoint? What ideas are you going to inject into this offense?
Offensively, we're going to want to push the ball up the floor. You know, we're going to want to get into what we're running and run our sets. I don't want to get into that too much right now because it's, you know, early in the season, and but we're going to figure out what we have from a personnel standpoint and try to tweak what we want to do from there once the season starts.
And how about defensively? Do you try to go with all sorts of different defensive looks, zone, man? What's press? You know, what's your favorite?
We'll zone it up a little bit.
Okay.
We'll be more of a man-to-man team. We'll full court press, whether that's run and jump or whatever, what have you within that pressure situations. But we'll take it and run with it with the personnel that we have.
Well, looking back on last year's team, you had Emma Fee, the big forward down low. She graduated. Why don't you take us through who's going to step in and sort of fill that void this year?
As far as post play, Annalise Fogan, she's a junior this season. After that, we have Morgan Crumwide. She's going to be big for us. Morgan's a freshman. And we're also young as far as our guards is concerned. We'll have some sophomores that are going to be able to play for us. But the good thing is all of these players have varsity experience from last season.
In this market, there is a terrific women's basketball team, the Minnesota Lynx. They've just won their 4th championship. Have you been able to detect that their success has in any way rubbed off or trickled down to the youth levels or the high school level with coaching girls?
You know, speaking of that, yes, it has. And one of the things that we did was we took our whole team down to a Lynx game. We were there for their pregame during one of the games, and we also were able to be in the high five tunnel when they came out of the locker room before pregame warmups. We've done a lot of work over the summer, incorporated some of the things as far as work ethic that the Lynx bring to the table. So yeah, they've been a huge part of what we're trying to do.
In higher levels of basketball, college and pro, there's a great emphasis on the three-point shot because of how efficient it can be. You obviously get more points, and when you look at the Golden State Warriors, they've won 2 championships shooting threes. You know, this is a little bit different. You know, do you still kind of subscribe to that theory that it's good to produce a lot of three-point shots, or does it depend on the ability of the players that are on your roster?
I think it depends on the ability of the players on your roster. You want to tweak what you do according to the ability of your players.
Last one, do you like to set goals like win total or point totals? How specific do you get with those? You
know, as far as goals, we don't want to go with a win total. We just want to be able to play hard. We want to be able to compete night in and night out, and then everything else will take care of itself. One of the things that we want to do is we want to be strong in our conference. We want to be strong in our section, and then we want to finish strong. It doesn't matter how you start, it's about how you finish, and I think that's our goal. Finishing strong.
Well, we can't wait to broadcast your games here on BCTV. Looking forward to talking to you down the road.
Yes, thank you very much, and I appreciate you guys having me today.
Well, you bet. That's Maurice Hodges of the Burnsville girls basketball team. And that's our show here on South Suburban Spotlight. Big thanks to Marcus Shelpley, Vince Varpness, and Maurice. My name's Sam Ekstrom. Have a great day.